Welcome back to Prime Arcana. Meryl and Lortho follow Scholar Vandermeer as he enters the archive's first floor central vestibule. The sounds of the city dull behind you, replaced by air that fills your snout with the smells of old vellum and melted wax. Inside this towering building, the entry hall opens into a colossal rotunda, so vast it feels more like stepping into a cathedral more than a library. Not that Meryl would know the word cathedral. High above, the domed ceiling is painted with a swirling tapestry of many different interpretations of the gods, locked in acts of creation and destruction and, neutrality and balance, breaking things apart, putting them back together. I mean, the nature of the world is painted across the ceiling here. And at the dome's very center, there's this depiction of Panthus Prime Father, who is depicted as this glistening star giant, with his hands outstretched to catch a star's teardrop, the size of a mortal world. It's not the ceiling that steals your breath, it's everything beneath it. Rows and rows of bookshelves rise in circular tiers around you on this floor, and the one above you, and the one above that, going up 5 stories. The walls are fitted with iron-wrought staircases and slender bridges linking floor to floor for easy access. On every shelf, you see ancient books, scrolls, ledgers, and bound tomes all crowded together, numbering easily over 100,000. Some shelves stretch 40 feet high before meeting the next floor, their ladders anchored on brass rails that creak as scribes move them from row to row. Warm, glowing stones shine across the walls, giving off a comfortable pale warmth in the same way that the stones in the Hall of Hest did. At your side, Lortho whispers, "Stick close together so we don't get lost in here." He's like clutching his little satchel tight, kind of like almost has this look on his face like he's worried the books might swallow him up.
Good idea. Kind of like moves in closer to him. I mean, it's very humbling because not that she has a big ego or anything, but knowing that there's just so much out there to know. And she's wondering if, because like they had to have the guide to get in. So would Caro have been here?
Roll a history check to see if he told you about it at all, like if he ever mentioned it. You don't particularly remember him telling any stories about visiting a library that reached the clouds.
Yeah, so she's thinking then, like, wow, well, this is one story I'm going to be able to come back and tell Caro about because he's clearly never been here. And she's just thinking about how much, her Nana would lose it at this room. Not that her, Nana's knowledge is anything to, like, scoff at, but it's overwhelming how much information is accessible to people who decide to pursue knowledge as a career. But she's not like, oh, I'm going to read all these books. Like, I need to know more. She's just kind of like, wow, people dedicate their whole lives to this, and they still wouldn't have enough time to read all these books.
As you're moving through, ahead of you, Scholar Vandermeer goes, "Once I get you where you're going, it's rather easy to find your way out. Now, if the pair of you decide to dawdle in these stacks, well, I suppose I shouldn't worry. Most first-timers never find their way out without a guide. It's rather part of a charm."
She kind of looks at him and she says, "Oh, I guess you came here to work, so you're going to have to leave us to go work."
"That is the plan, yes." And then, looking up at the mural on the ceiling, Lortho's like, "Are you sure this isn't a church?" And Vandermeer smiles down at you guys and he goes, "I suppose one could call it that if what you worshipped was knowledge. But I suppose the city's followers of Marcus might take umbrage with that. He's the gnomish god of innovation, and they're always getting up in arms about new patents and other trivial blasphemies."
There's so many gods.
Lortho, oh, too many. Ahead of you, Vandermeer kind of motions ahead where there's a circular reception desk at the base of the rotunda. You see that it's manned by a handful of different robed attendants, and above the desk this wrought iron sign hangs And it says in the common language, floors 1 through 5, public access archives. Questions welcome. Please do not shout. Think like Smithsonian. Not library. Think like Smithsonian if the Smithsonian was like a Smithsonian for knowledge. Like, this is my Library of Alexandria. So the three of you cross this marble-tiled floor towards the reception desk, where an ancient Minotaur woman leans back in a wide wooden chair, draped in robes of deep purple and gold. As she sees Vandermeer approaching, her eyes brighten behind a pair of thick, circular spectacles perched precariously at the end of her broad nose, and she says, "Good morning, Delma. A bit later than usual today." Vandermeer bows slightly and rests both hands atop his staff and says, "Good morning, Archivist Tarnessa. I had no intention of troubling your morning's order, merely ushering 2 new minds towards enlightenment. This is Pendra and Bristlewick." Like Lortho smiles and waves. Vandermeer continues, "They're my neighbor's children. They're a bright young pair interested in applying for an assistant scribe's apprenticeship next season. I'd like to sign for a pair of visitor badges for today's research." So this dude is straight up like putting his entire fucking career on the line to lie about what you're doing here because he believes that his god sent you to him. And Harnessa squints over her spectacles at you and Lortho, but you don't really get any sense of suspicion. "Maybe they'll be better than this current batch we've got. Lyra Frostwit's stitching daisies into her ledger margins, while Piva Mistark's busy rewriting children's tales. Rewriting them! Can you believe it? She says that she's saving the youth from tomorrow. Youth could use a little more sorrow, if you ask me. I swear, unless we get better blood in here, it'll be up to fossils like us to keep the archive standing." And she looks at the pair of you. "Are you 2 hard workers?"
Meryl says, "Oh yes, we work very hard. And Vandermeer here is a great role model in what it means your way up the system to become a scholar. So we can only look up to him. And archivists like you to make sure that we can follow the right path."
Roll a persuasion for me.
Persuasion. It's not very high.
On a 14, she glances up at Vandermeer and she says, "Maybe there is hope." And she opens a drawer in the desk and pulls out a pair of slender iron wristbands, each fitted with a tiny sapphire in the center. "You will need to return them before you leave, please."
Meryl takes hers and she says, "Of course, we will not forget."
Lortho slides it on after Meryl does. And Harnessa leans forward and kind of puts her elbows down on the table and then puts her chin in her hands and looks up at Vandermeer and she goes, "So, found anything interesting lately up there with the other shard seekers?" Vandermeer kind of looks up towards the ceiling and he goes, "We just started a month studying the minor subharmonic shifts occurring within the Heartspire's outer shell. A theory is forming that suggests the Shivervale fluctuations correlate with the Heartspire's seasonal expansions and contractions. It's not merely atmospheric interference." He says this as if he has a lot more to say about the subject, but is holding it back because he doesn't think anybody will understand what he's talking about. Archivist Tarnessa kind of gives a snort and she's like, "I have no idea what any of that means, but I'm glad someone understands it." She gives a smile to you and Lortho and goes, "You 2 have a good day now. Wear gloves, please."
She looks back at Archivist Tarnessa and says, "Thank you for your help. We look forward to leaving with more knowledge than we came with."
She looks up at Vandermeer and gives him a nod and a smile, and he gives her a wink, and he says, "It's always a pleasure to find you got in the gate, my dear. Stronger than any iron lock or gilded seal ever could. Flattery will get you everywhere." He laughs and then gestures you both onward, deeper into the rotunda, towards this massive grand staircase of black marble.
She's great.
Yeah,
She's
she's a totally friendly little lady. The steps curve up in this elegant, wide spiral up to the higher floors. And as you get on the staircase and start ascending, Vandermeer says, "One could say your lucky old Harnessa was at the desk today. If Archivist Grevin had been sitting there instead, we'd be caught in 3 hours of lectures about parchment humidity and how ink flows faster during the 3rd frost of spring. Neanthera truly guides your path."
Meryl laughs and says, "Oh, it sounds like he would have a lot in common with my grandmother. They could probably talk for hours."
And Lortho goes, "She's the oldest woman in the village."
The brightest too, Lortho. Don't sell her short.
And as you say that, you look over and you see he's huffing. He's clearly over the stairs already. He tightens the strap on his little satchel and he's like muttering under his breath as he's like trying to make it up this like massive staircase behind you. Finally, the 6th floor comes into view, marked by a heavy iron portcullis that spans the entire stairwell landing, blocking any further ascent. Behind the gate, you see a scribe wearing the same purple and green robes you saw Scribe Goozer wearing. She's a stern-faced elven woman, and her steel-gray hair is braided tightly. As you approach, the archivist lifts her head. She straightens immediately at the sight of Vanamir. Scholar Delmar, I got through a few more chapters of the Scarlet Frostbloom last night. You were right. It's deliciously scandalous. Like she turns the crank, and the massive portcullis gates like and opens up. And Vanamir coughs into his hand, like feigning this like kind of innocent expression. He goes, yes, well, purely academic interest, of course. I study all cultural phenomena, thoroughly. And she goes, if you'd ever like a return recommendation, I think you might enjoy Whispers Beneath the Black Star. Hotter than a smithy, that one. Meryl catches Lortho's like sideways glance up at her. He's like wide-eyed, like barely stifles a laugh as they all pass through the gate. They know that like they're clearly like trading erotica books back and forth.
Yeah.
This Vanamir guy is like a slut.
It's what it sounds like.
He's like, he might have a relationship with Lanyon. He flirted with an old Minotaur woman and like also might be like trading smut books with younger elven scribes. So he's surely a man of the cloth. I'll just say that. He goes, these two are here to assist in preliminary research for a paper on gemstone resonance. You might see them throughout the day. Is Scholar Iskel here? The scribe looks down to the researched wristlets that you have and nods and says, yes, he's over in the Eastern Sunroom. I don't think he's left for a few weeks, actually. Vanamir gives the elf a wink and says, if you moved at his pace, would you? And she shakes her head and says, probably not. And Vanamir walks the pair of you further across the floor away from her into a central atrium. This is where I must leave you, I'm afraid. I do have work of my own to attend to, and as fun as this little secret mission has been, it's time for me to go. Thank you both for the company this morning. It's been far more pleasant than my usual walks.
Thank you for your assistance. I don't know how we'll repay you.
Please repay me by not getting in trouble and letting anyone know that I did this for you. And he like kind of like
He nods.
rubs the back of his head like,
Well, forget your name as soon as you leave.
Well, unfortunately, Harnessa saw you with me, so we need better than that.
She kind of shrugs. She's like, no, she.
Oh, I've made a mistake. I've made a huge mistake.
She says, we'll keep our heads down, right, Lortho?
Yeah, of course. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Thank you. That means very much to me. May her gaze keep you steady. The Scholar Iskel can be a struggle all his own. I hope she will guide your words to the heart of what you seek.
If I see Lanyon before we leave, I'll remind him he has a few of your books.
And he smiles upon hearing that name and says, thank you very much. And then he points down a hallway and says, down that way. Last door on the right before the balcony path. The brightest room on the floor. You can't miss it.
She nods and says thank you, and then she's going to turn and leave him where he's at so she can go walk down the hallway with Lortho.
And as she walks off with Lortho, he also walks back towards the stairs. When you look back over at him one last time, he kind of like taps his cane once and salutes, and then like slips away between like the towering rows. You see his purple and black robes kind of vanishing like a shadow.
She feels like Anirak is maybe, blessing her investigation, her attempts to move through this crazy, confusing, intense new world that she's entered in the last 2 days, because he just was so helpful. And the people that she meets, it's such a big city, but everybody who has networked with her, essentially, everybody who has led her to somebody new has just been so helpful, and so everybody seems trustworthy. She doesn't really know, she's got a few people that she hasn't met yet that she doesn't trust, but everybody that she's met so far that's helped her on this journey just seem to be invested in supporting other people, and she's finding that very pleasant and at odds with her first kind of interactions in the city, where the guards were you don't have what you need, you need to get out. But like everybody else who she sought assistance from has just been so kind to her. So she's just kind of thinking about how, what he said about Neanthera, about Inirak, kind of blessing their journey, is starting to feel like it must be true. People here are very nice and they're very helpful. And hell, people even leave their food out at night for more people to just take.
Right,
So
just casual snacks. So like,
yeah,
it can be confusing.
so it's a lot. But also in the back of her mind, she is suspicious of the people. Like, it is forming, I would say that not so much she's understanding that like the society and the structure and like the way that the rules are made are the problem, but like money seems to be an issue. Like, she's thinking like, okay, maybe people who have more money, like there's something that happens, because like the people who have money are the ones that I'm investigating. The people who have the money, aside from Ruvidan, those are the people that seem to be contributing to the issue. So like, what about having money causes you to act like that? She's still percolating.
Okay.
Not that she knows what that word means, but yeah.
Okay. And then like, as she's walking down the hallway, this song just starts coming out of one of the rooms, like, it's time for the percolator. It's time for the percolator. And that's... So as you guys are moving down the hallway towards the eastern sunroom, it opens up with this massive doorway, and you see that the room inside is almost like a shell. It's like wide and curved with this ceiling that arches high into like a vault of pale marble that's crisscrossed by these ribbed, slender, dark mahogany beams. And there's these tall windows that stretch from the floor to the ceiling all along the outer wall, which is framed by these thin pillars of black veined golden stone. Through the windows, early morning sun pours in and just throwing like long golden shafts across the whole chamber. And this is a library, so those shafts of light just like illuminate thousands of dust motes that are just like dancing like snowflakes. Half-sorted maps and blueprints and thick old ledgers and like stacks of books and little miniature towers. And in the heart of the sunroom...
Yep, I fucking knew. I was like, the whole time, it's gonna be a turtle.
Sitting comfortably atop a low hill of scrolls, as though it were the most natural thing in the world, is a turtle. He's large and hunched and wears the same purple and black scholar's robes as Vanamir. In the bright light, you can see the rough, dappled texture of his shell, deep brown with rings of mossy green, each whorl sort of edged in a sharp, thin crack. He leans heavily over the parchment that seems to stretch from one end of his wide lap to the other. He's got a little calligraphy brush gripped deftly in his three-clawed, heavy hand, and his back is turned to both of you.
Oh boy.
Why did you know he was a turtle?
Because he moves, like all of the comments, like he moves so slowly. He hasn't left in weeks. He is like a creature of habit. I was just like, he's gonna be a turtle.
Did Steve and Danielle, did you guys think he was gonna be a turtle, or were you even thinking about it?
No, I mean, I kind of didn't expect. I almost thought he might have been one of the mechanical things.
Okay.
Ancient.
I do love that he is a turtle, though.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Not even just the moving, the vibes too. Like things being on his own timeline, and like the fights with the other person who's like, you get too much praise, and it's like, well, but he's like, I'm inferring now, but like he's been doing this shit for so long. God only knows how old this dude is. Yeah. So I was like, this girl needs to sit down.
This character I have not even met yet.
Yep. Because I mean, I love turtles. Yeah. They were my first favorite animal.
All right.
It's okay. So his back is turned, so she doesn't want to scare him. Can she tell, like, at all if there's a way to gauge, like, where in his life his age is, the way that he's moving or anything?
I would go ahead and say roll a history.
19.
So she's never encountered this race before. However, she has definitely encountered some of the cold weather tortoises that live in the caves behind the waterfall at the Silver Shine village. And the older ones have a more pronounced sharpened beak, and so too does Iskel. So you would guess that he is like at least of like, he's probably not Nana's age. He's probably like maybe a little bit older than like what your parents would be.
Okay. I think mostly she just doesn't want to startle him. So if he's not like on the verge of like a heart attack by like a strong breeze, then
he's not Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns. Okay. So there's no reception area because this is just a library in the hall, but is there like a little bell or something that she could like announce herself with without just like hollering out to him?
As you're having this thought, you like look to your left and like the camera shifts like a quarter of a foot to your left and there's just like a little bell on the wall.
Okay. She will ring the bell.
It's clearly like been up there for probably like 200 years and like they clean it but nobody's fixed it. So Scholar Iskel remains perfectly still for like a good long moment. Long enough that you're not sure that he heard you. And then with the sound, it's like old creaking bark. He like lifts his head slowly and like looks over to you and like turns and like his shell is just like and he goes, "Can I help you?"
Are you Scholar Iskel?
He nods and it takes like 15 seconds. And then he says, "Yes."
My name is Pendra, and this is Bristlewick, and we are here to ask you a few questions about your working relationship with Ruvidan Kaskar.
Oh, Ruvidan. And he like sets his brush down carefully on a little bone tray and goes, "You don't wear lilac."
We're not with the City Watch. We're here on behalf of his family.
Roll a persuasion for me with advantage.
Whoa. Wow.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
It seems as though a Nirak left on the staircase.
Not like that one. I mean, I'm going to try to use the luck on that one. And if it doesn't work, then this is not meant to be.
Oh my god!
What did she do wrong?
Wow! You pissed your god off!
Why?
Well, Scholar Iskel hangs his head and he goes, "I don't know his family. How do they know of my relationship with Ruvidan?"
Okay. I see. So his family didn't send us here. They asked us to look into what happened to him. And they were gracious enough to provide us with some of his records. And so we did find your name on a few things and thought potentially the discussions that she's going for it. The discussions that the two of you were having about city planning might have put him in danger a little bit with people higher up in the city. So just thought maybe talking to you could shed some light on whether you were aware of any enemies that he had based on the work that the two of you were doing together. And she's like kind of rambling because she's uncomfortable.
Go ahead and roll another persuasion for me with advantage. Okay, 17's good. 17's good. You needed a 15. You just didn't put enough effort in. The gods were like, "Nah, not yet. You gotta earn it. That's all." It's not me. Fucking.
No, I know it's not you.
So
she gets rewarded when she's honest too. By the way, I just
but
like to point that out.
It's all of you though. Like that has been something that has gone back years in Hypercosmic.
Yeah,
that I've like literally witnessed the game rewarding you guys for like not being duplicitous, being honest. Like I've literally seen it like 50 times. Like it's a huge amount. It's crazy. So he says he came here from time to time to learn. The last time he came burdened He points like this heavy, thick, clawed finger toward a very cluttered table, only a few steps away, bathed in a singular beam of sunlight.
The records he pulled are still there, where he left them. I have not had the heart to reshelve them.
And she bows her head and says, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm sure that it's been a very tough time. I didn't mean to imply that you did anything. It does seem like he was involved in a lot of different areas that could have put a target on him.
Yes. He was a bold man. He came here looking for the truth of the prison's bones. Who gave? Who gained? It has always been known Kivar Keldara gave the minds that became the prison as a gift for the Accord, so say the ledgers, so say the mouths of history. Those papers,
And he looks over at the papers on the desk.
only confirm this. I don't think they will help you.
Okay, woo, we're getting into it with this dude. She's gonna say, when we had access to Ruvidan's quarters, we found a blueprint showing that Ruvidan believed there was a way to reroute the energy through the city that didn't require any sulfur. But he was looking to receive your records before he could proceed with what he thought was a better way to provide energy to the city without relying so heavily on the mines. Is that something that the two of you discussed before his passing?
It is. And the paperwork and books he pulled for that exact reason are right there.
Okay, so that's basically what's on the table then.
That's on the
But
table,
he's-
and other stuff is on the table.
And he's saying that he doesn't think what Ruvidan found helped him, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to help her. So she's going to say, do you mind if I look through the documents that he left out?
As long as you are not a thief, you may read them.
We are not thieves. And she looks at Lortho to confirm, like she wants him to say it too. She'll nod at him.
Oh yeah, sir. I've never stolen anything in my life. Go ahead and roll an investigation for me as Meryl walks up to the table here.
Okay.
18. That is a success. Meryl reaches the table and brushes her paw lightly across the parchment spread out across it. The old pages are all cracked at the edges with ink fading but still legible. The first book that you see, 300 pages maybe, and it's turned open to this one page, and it looks like it's some kind of breakdown of a land trade. Down at the very bottom of the page, this one line kind of catches your eye. Delivery of the caverns, negotiation overseen by Lukusti Sentry Captain Izakiah Guzer, in fulfillment of the Glacial Concord's third clause of territorial exchanges. And at your side, Lortho leans in and whispers, Guzer? Wasn't that the name of the scribe lady we met yesterday?
God, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
That was yesterday. Jesus fuck. Okay. Yes. So she says, yeah, that was.
And he looks at the page a little bit better and he goes, this looks like hundreds of years old though, so this couldn't have been her. Maybe like an ancestor?
What race was Goozer?
Tiefling.
And would she wouldn't know anything about tieflings, how long they live.
Roll a, I would say, history for me. Yeah, you know
7.
absolutely nothing about tieflings.
Well, let's look for a date. And then she wants to see if there's like any kind of date, publication date in the book.
Okay, so go ahead and roll another investigation roll here for me. And this is going to be sort of a general investigation roll of the table. And you can make this with advantage. Oh, well, 28. So that is a massive, you don't even know. Don't worry about it. So this is the first thing that you find. And if you'd like to read this out for the others, as if you were reading it out loud for Lortho, as Meryl, here you go.
So it says, third clause of territorial exchanges, as ratified under the 47th Edict of Convergence, year 378 of Frostbear, and confirmed by mutual seals of the Mammoth Spire delegation, the hammered lords of Caldara, and the horned king of Torathor. Let it be held in record and respected henceforth, that any parcel of territory, dominion, or passage rendered unto the Concord in the spirit of peace, parity, and neutral governance shall henceforth be considered sanctified land, and no party to this accord may claim eminent domain, military presence, or private governance over said land without formal arbitration. To ensure the sanctity and impartial stewardship of such lands, a third-party overseer must be appointed to act in full autonomy, serving as the eye and oath of the Concord's will. This overseer must be of unblemished record and recognized noble bearing, unaligned with either of the primary signatories or their tributary nations. Accepted notaries of sufficient distinction shall include, but are not limited to, any knight in full standing of the Locusti order whose loyalty to balance and sacrifice is recorded in the black sigil of Wormspire, any cloud giant of the Etherion mantle, provided they bear the crescent diadem and have sworn no fealty to land-bound war parties or blood-bound houses, a supervisor of the KKNL-PC registered within the catalog of beasts and bearing the brass tally of field authority. No overseer may be replaced without formal petition to the Tribunal of Justice and triple review by opposing representatives. Any contest to their authority must be presented in written testimony, witnessed by a frost-marked raven, and sealed in wax from the Everfrost flame. Let this clause be etched into stone, water, and ice, and be broken never. And then there's a quote at the bottom. In absence of rightful witness, the sanctity of land is held in abeyance, and any function enacted therein is suspended until a new witness is sworn. Oh, Lord. This is like... What year are they in again?
2221.
Because we know there are 8 families of nobility that are currently running the city, the specific city, but this is like the larger territory. Because Caldara is separate from Frostfair, or?
Yes.
So
Caldara is the Dwarven Kingdom, which is like in the southern mountain region.
Right. Okay. We've got Mammoth Spire delegation, and then the Torathor is that guy all the way over there. Okay, well, I think her first question, at least for right now, is who is the current third-party overseer? And they have to be a noble.
It seems like all fingers point to this overseer person who's being someone kind of important.
So when it says accepted notaries of sufficient distinctions shall include, like the notary is these categories can be chosen to be the third party overseer?
Yes. Obviously, the guy who oversaw the negotiation of this land passing was the Locusti sentry captain, Izakai Goozer.
So
Okay.
the nations that were pointed out,
this is a treaty with them to rule over all of the lands, or is it just affecting like their city towns?
So this, what you're reading right now, is specifically like a land deed for the founding of Frostfair, which was tied up and like ratified sort of amongst this glacial concord, which is what got put into place in the years after the dwarves had like tried to like basically rise up and take over this whole area. And that is when the giants were like, all right, we're gonna take control of everything. And that was 500 years ago when the giants were like, we're in charge of shit now. So 40 years later, they started like ratifying laws and into Frostfair, which is this like neutral city. Even though the way that this place works is that the giants rule everything, but the giants don't want to like get involved with the day-to-days of the small people. So they've outsourced it to the Minotaurs, which is the Torathorian Empire. And that's why we see all of these Minotaurs everywhere doing all of these different things. And so the land deed that you guys are looking over right now was that Kavar Kaldara basically ceded the sulfur caves beneath the city to Frostfair, and the person who oversaw that peaceful transfer of land was this Goozer guy. So that explains why you see the words Mammoth Spire Delegation, Hammered Lords of Keldar, and Horde King of Torathor, just because this is like an official document that's like acknowledging all three of the main parties involved in this, even though the giants and the Minotaurs actually had nothing to do with the dwarves like giving it to Frostfair, because Frostfair is following these new ratified laws in this glacial concord. That's where it gets signed, is in Frostfair. It's all tied together there. It's like political hand-holding, type bullshit, what you're reading in that first sentence.
So at the time of this being ratified, Goozer was the third-party overseer.
Yes.
And then they continue to elect them. Is it an ongoing position that people continue to hold even if there's not active territorial exchanges occurring? It is a full-standing position? Is there ongoing negotiations going on? Because
Sure.
it says no overseer may be replaced without formal petition to the Tribunal of Justice. So, like, if somebody dies in the post
Right.
overseeing these exchanges, then there has to be a petition to the tribunal to replace, and then review by opposing representatives. So, like, people who aren't happy about the person who has been picked, they have to go through 3 rounds of representatives who are not pro that person to get elected.
Yes.
So how the friggin' frack did this Locusti Century even get elected in the first place? Like, that sounds like a really high bar. Like, is this, I guess, this stewardship position, does it exist these hundreds of years, thousands of years later? This was 378, it's 22, 21 now. So yeah, I would say Lortho's instinct that this person is not around anymore, I guess this is probably correct. I would guess. I even as Haley, I don't know how long tieflings live. So if you guys have any other thoughts, I don't want to stop you from.
So what did we say about the tiefling? She's the current eye?
No, she just
Or
has.
she
just has the same last name as this guy. Is all you know right now.
Oh. Was Ruvidan the eye, or was he gonna be like the next eye? Is that why he was targeted?
Well, okay, hold on. The brain is working. I think Ruvidan wanted to stop using the sulfur because he wanted to use the clean energy. But I don't know that he necessarily could even do that if the territorial, like, promise of utilizing this space, like, if it's all caught up in all these rules. She's gonna ask Iskel, is the third-party overseer a job that still happens? Or was this a one-time thing when they were trying to negotiate the territory exchange?
He gets up off of his little stack of books, and it takes him a good, 45 seconds of just, as he, walks over to the table and, starts, moving some paperwork around, and you see him lift up another piece of paper.
That is a complicated question. with a simple answer and a difficult answer.
And then he hands Meryl this piece of paper.
This little baby boy. This little frickin' genealogist baby boy. Okay, Appendix 7. Civil Concord Families. Chapter 8. The House of Guzer. Frostfair Progenitor. Izakiah Guzer. Last recorded century of the Locusti Order. Last recorded century? Okay, I'm gonna keep going, sorry. Concord Negotiator, Keeper of Cavern Holdings. At the time of the signing of the Glacial Concord, parentheses 1762 FA, Izakiah Guzer was noted for his eloquence in diplomatic matters and was appointed as a territorial negotiator during the drafting of the Accord's third clause concerning subterranean yield and strategic holdings. A respected voice among early civic architects of Frostfair, Izakiah oversaw the delivery of the cavernous holdings beneath the Amberline Ridge on behalf of the Dorvan Caldara contingency. Spouse, Calastra Vel Emrinen of Verelanthalis, renowned night glass sculptor, daughter of Virelin Vel Emrien,
Those goddamn elf names.
elder of the High Elven Merchant Council. Children of Izakiah and Calastra. Den Vadriel Guzer, High Elf stillborn, laid to rest in Verelanthalis. The Frostfair City Council formally recorded the child's name among the annals of grief at the Pillar of Light, bestowing upon them the honorary title, the Last Spark of Accord. Thaloris Guzer, High Elf, respected language historian, married Melisynth Airlanth, emigrated to the Fairlands. Variel Guzer, High Elf, former emissary, interpreter, and linguistic liaison, married Senvor Maleth, textile artisan, emigrated to the Fairlands. Kassira Guzer, Tiefling, alloy etcher, remained in Frostfair and managed familial holdings for a time, married Dornine Rel, a half-elven wine mason of minor acclaim. Children of Kassira and Dornine. Selimir Rel Guzer, Tiefling, noted alchemical specialist, oversaw mineral management contracts tied to family cavern territories, married Jasva Dornwell, wood elf, brewer and city council advisor. Children of Selimir Rel and Jasva. Arlene Guzer, Tiefling, current matron of House Guzer and holder of the concordant title of record, oversees family interests in archive preservation, academic sponsorship, and property management in High City, married Ferric Ventris, Tiefling, master gunsmith and overseer of the family's economic alliance with the City Watch in regards to the creation and distribution of the isocasters and isopod ammunition. Children of Arlene and Ferric. Patricia Guzer, Tiefling, current generation, Everfrost scribe, graduate of the 7th tier of the Frostfair Academy, specialist in civic transcription and translation, known for precision, discretion, and philanthropy. Notation 1A. Though once renowned for night glass import and artistry, House Guzer has shifted in the last 2 centuries toward bureaucratic administration, remaining one of the lesser-seated but oldest Concord houses still present within Frostfair. Notation 1B. Upon the death of Izakiah Guzer in our year 1996 FA, the Guzer ancestral holdings in the Deep Ridge territories were dissolved and absorbed into public trust management by order of the tribunal under the third clause of territorial exchanges. Asterisk, see authorization form 10EB1 of the Frostfair City Territorial Ledger.
Iskel hands you another
Okay.
page.
Stop. I'm taking pictures of these shits. It's too much. Okay. So this is a Frostfair City Territorial Ledger. Volume 82, entry 10EB1. So this is the asterisk. Filed this year 1996 FA. Witnessed and sealed by the Tribunal Office of Landed Assets. Posthumous transfer of stewardship, Locusti Sulphur Caverns. Be it known that upon the certified death of Concord steward Izakiah Guzer, keeper of the cavern holdings and last recorded redacted. All associated rights, responsibilities, and permissions pertaining to the Locusti sulfur caverns, herein referred to as the caverns beneath Frostsphere's southeastern shelf, are, by binding clause of the Civil Concord, to be transferred to an authorized agent of the Kavar Caldara Natural Life Preservation Coalition, KKNLPC, as designated by the standing third clause of the Glacial Concord, hereby to be assigned Lord Sybil M. Rebeard, duly appointed Registrar and Administrative Steward of the KKNLPC, has been granted temporary and reviewable custodianship of the aforementioned holdings. Said appointment is recognized by the Frostsphere Tribunal of Justice, upon which Lord Emmerbeard sits in conjunction with the witness of the accord, as the new eye and oath of the Concord's will in matters pertaining to all subterranean holdings formerly overseen by Ezekiah Guzer. Addendum. Should the stewardship not be formally challenged within 1 calendar year, and Sybil Emmerbeard fails to appoint a third-party steward, then full custodial oversight of the sulfur caverns shall transfer to the Tribunal of Justice of Frostsphere, to be governed directly under the Civic Concord's Emergency Reclamation Clause until a new steward of accord can be approved and ratified. Signed and sealed. Senator Relcor Thane, Tribunal Clerk Dublin Mars, witness for Concord Balance, Hadrath of the Ember Chain. And then there's the seal of Frostsphere at the bottom.
And as Iskel realizes that Meryl has finished reading it, he says, "It seems in all these hundreds of years, the tribunal never found a new overseer." Convenient.
So he found out that there was no overseer, and the people that are seeming, I hope I'm understanding this right, that seem to benefit from not having an overseer explicitly is the Emmerbeard family, because they have custodianship currently. And the Emmerbeards are also the ones who are responsible for the ongoing bullshit that's going down in the prisons. This territorial ledger, rights, responsibilities, and permissions pertaining to the Locusti sulfur caverns. Okay, so if the caverns are what power the city, then they're making money off of using the caverns and having people down there doing the cavern work. So if Ruvidan had come up with a way to not have the sulfur in use, that alone is enough to piss off whoever's making money off of and controlling the sulfur caverns. And 2, finding out that not only can he have a new energy efficient way of running the city, but also he is going to blow up the spot of Emmerbeard not having implemented a new overseer. Those are 2 really big reasons for him to be on that shit list. And this whole time I've been I think I've said it, Emmerbeard was really the number 1 suspect that I had, but it just seemed like I didn't have enough concrete information aside from knowing all of the shady stuff that he was doing with the KKNLPC. But now pulling together that he's the steward from the KKNLPC and he has custodianship of the mines and his family's involved in the prison, that all seems like enough to get somebody killed. She wants confirmation from Iskel that control over the sulfur mines is a financial gain for somebody. Would having custodianship over the mines lead to personal and financial gain for the family that is in charge of them?
And reading further on those notes, it was Selimir Rel who sold the official mineral rights of the mines to the city in the days after his grandfather died. I believe, as it is quite well known, that the Guzer family has made much of their money off of the isopods that live in the caves below and the manufacturing of the city guard's guns. They stand to gain quite financially. However, the city taxes, particularly those in Lowtown, quite a hefty fee. Those of us in Hightown don't get away from it either. That's a lot of shit. We are charged for its dispersal into the sulfur caverns below. I'm sure you've seen the cart carriers. Lortho nods. I did mention it, I think, on chapter 1. That's just a quick throwaway line. So, like, the city's taxing the shit out of people to get rid of their shit. And so they're making money, which in turn goes to who?
Yeah, the Goozer. See, and that's why, like, I know I'm getting too caught up on the Emberbeard stuff because this was like several
It's kind
pages
of like
of the Goozer family stuff too.
It's kind of like
they're
both of them stand to potentially gain in different ways. But the Goozers just no longer have control over any of it. They're just basically like getting money. Like they're silent partners now at this point.
So, like, if Ruvidan was going to tattle about there not being an overseer, it would be the Emberbeards that would suffer from that, not the Goozers explicitly, because the Goozers moved it over to the KKNLPC, and Emberbeard just happens to be the steward of that. Am I understanding that correctly?
So, like, the guy who, the initial dude, Sybil, was Tyrus's father.
Okay.
So the current guy, the one you met, is the son of the guy mentioned in that thing. So he may or may not be the overseer. You know that he's not a member of the Tribunal of Justice, and as far as Ruvidan knew, he was opposed to what was going on in the prison and was allied with Ruvidan's efforts and, you know, Scribe Goozer's philanthropic efforts as well. So maybe he's not like his family?
Well, so Goozer was the one who suggested that Ruvidia meet with Scholar Iskel.
No.
Oh, it's not?
Ruvidia said that in Ruvidan's journal, he had mentioned that he was going to speak with Scholar Iskel, and then Goozer said, "Oh, really? I didn't know that they were still in touch. I introduced them like a year ago." And afterwards, at the end of the conversation, you're correct. She was like, "If you need me to, I can arrange a meeting for you guys."
Okay, but she said, "Oh, okay, I didn't know that they were still in touch." Yeah, that sounds familiar. The last place he went that they know of that he went before he died was to see Scholar Iskel. Like, him being in this room and seeing all these pieces of paper was one of the last things that he did.
Yes, and what Goozer told you guys was that she had tried to get in contact with the warden, but he wasn't talking to anybody, and he was shut off.
Locked
and then
himself in
she
his office.
looked into his like second-in-command guy's schedule, Captain Bellrock, and saw that he was with his family at a shiv ball game at the tourney. And then Senator Amberbeard said that he spoke with the medical examiner, and that the medical examiner said that there was no poison in Ruvidan's system. And then he offered, he was like, "If you guys need to get into any of the political stuff that he's involved in, I can help you out with that." So they both like offered to help. Because they're both Ruvidan's friends.
Right, but is one of them like, this little fox bitch is gonna figure something out? Let's figure out if she figures it out first so we can knock her off. Like, my like watching a movie brain is like, Emberbeard is too easy. He's got too many things against him, so it's Goozer. But then my like, I have clues in front of me brain is like, but Emberbeard is like all up in everything. Like he's in everything. So
Lortho goes, "Sir, if you don't mind, what was the Locusti Order? I've never heard of that before. Meryl, have you heard of that before?"
I don't think so.
And Iskel says, The Locusti Order were cynoetic knights, custodians empowered not by the gods or weave of magic, but strength of mind, will. My grandma told me stories of them. She called them dream warriors of the locust shade, guardians of locks that should not turn, and names that ought not be echoed. He kind of shifts a little bit, almost like a chill creeps up his turtle spine. He hasn't thought of this in a really long time, since he was just a little teeny tiny guy. Long before the Scourge was called such, before the frost-bound hush and the shiver veil, they were ancient things of this earth too vast for blade. The Locusti is a divine word, best understood in common as they who do not blink. And beside you, Lortho's eyes are wide, and he rubs his temples and sighs, and he goes, "And Hezekiah was the last one? That's sad."
She's not so sure that that's sad. She's wondering if they're kind of better off without them, based on his wariness of discussing it at all. She says, what was their role in society?
An order of wandering demon slayers. It's all scary stories. I wish I could help more. Ruvidan was always kind to me. Is there anything else I can do to help?
So it's not common knowledge that there's not a current overseer?
My dear, it's not a common knowledge that the overseer exists at all.
I need to know what Ruvidan... Oh, wait. Did Ruvidan say where he was going after he left? Or after he was going to leave here?
The last thing he said to me was, "Thank you, Iskel. Be safe and stay in the tower. It's going to get dark out for a while." And then he hugged me and he walked out of the room. For the last time.
She'll put a hand out on his arm, because that makes her very sad that he lost his friend. I'm sad. I'm not crying yet, but that was very sad. I guess what she's gonna ask him, because she's trusting him at this point. Do you know either or both Patricia Goozer and Tyrus Emerbeard?
I have never personally spoken with or encountered the senator myself. I have had very limited encounters with Scribe Goozer, but she has always struck me as a dedicated learner and seeker of knowledge, and never had a cruel word for me. And he kind of does that turtle gulp where his neck stretches out really quick, and then he kind of goes back down into his shoulders.
Can I do something to just kind of double check that I believe that
you can.
that Meryl believes that he's telling the truth?
You can, yeah. Go ahead and roll a perception for sure. Or no, an insight. Go ahead and hit me with an insight.
Okay.
Yeah. You have absolutely zero reason whatsoever to believe. If this guy is lying to you, He's a hell of an actor, and you get the feeling that he left everything out for the cops. The first thing he said was, "Oh, you're not wearing lilac." And like everything was just in the same exact place that Ruvidan had left it. You know, you have no reason to feel any kind of specific way about this guy.
I know I'm gonna regret saying this, but she's just bopping. Like, I've never played one of these games where I wasn't just like terrified every second. Like, like we're about to get to the rough stuff. I know, because I'm gonna have to make an accusation, and I think I'm gonna be fucking wrong. But like,
that's still a bit away. That's still a good ways away. We're at the very beginning of the investigation. This is just her first stop.
Yeah. Okay. So then I would say that her next two suspects clearly are Goozer and Emberbeard, but she has enough knowledge now to know that she is not just going to go in telling them what she knows.
Okay.
Like she might have if she hadn't learned all of this information, but she is learning how to be cautious. Can she? Because she's not going to take this stuff, because clearly, like, well, should she take it? He's not going to let her take it. So she can like copy it.
Okay.
So she'll take a second to copy it, but she's not trying to mess with him or put him at risk of like hiding information. So she's not going to try to get involved in the City Watch investigation. She's doing her own thing because she doesn't trust them either, but not to the point of like tampering with evidence.
Yeah.
I think that I've asked him everything that I can at least think of.
Okay.
And she trusts him, so she knows if she gets more information, like maybe she can come back. So I would say, to be honest, we did kind of get in to the 6th floor under slightly false pretenses, and then she'll like hold out her wrist to show him the researcher's pass. Is there a way that we can ensure that we can visit you again without the guide that brought us here today?
And he nods his head.
Yes. Any friend of Ruvidan hoping to uncover this heinous atrocity is a friend of this archive and friend of mine. I will have a scribe list your names on the permanent ledger on floor 1 for entrance to the upper floors. At least the 6th floor. I can't write for hire.
I do want to tell you that we gave you false names earlier. You can use the ones we gave you on the ledger just to continue to keep ourselves covered, but my name's Meryl, and it's been really nice to meet you.
Lortho goes, "Thank you for your help, sir." And then Scholar Iskel looks down at like the pair of you and kind of like leans forward, and he looks from Lortho up to Meryl and says,
Wana Iskel. Pleasure.
The pleasure's been ours. If we need anything else, we'll make sure to come see you. But I think you should heed Ruvidan's words. Stay up here where you're safe.
I will. But if you're leaving the tower, you should do the same.
A shiver goes up her spine, and she pats him again on the big clawed hand. I'm really glad that Ruvidan had such good friends before he passed.
Ruvidan
And
was a friend to this city. Helping him was the least I could do.
She did not miss the fact that when they were talking about... Okay, well, first of all, yes, I think she's done here. She has everything that she's going to get right now. Any other questions she has to come up with is going to, like, come from other sources. But otherwise, there was part of that conversation, when I was just looking back at it, was about attempting to convince Ruvidia to speak.
Yep.
And I'm thinking that that's what they were setting up yesterday, or earlier this morning, I guess, potentially, what they were setting up. So I think she would be kind of interested in circling back to see if that's like what's going on, because she wants to watch the crowd at the event. Like, she wants to survey
while she
who's
thinks
there, and what's going on with that. And then, because I think she needs some time and some space from this Goozer. I mean, I do, certainly, from this Goozer and Emberbeard thing, because this is like the first test of how she's going to have to be like sneaky and subtle, and she's not good at lying. So she's going to have to figure out how to do that. But I do think she also, like, it's probably time to check in with Ruvidia and try to give her some updates. So
Okay.
I think that's her plan, is try to find where they're setting up everything to start the speech. She's assuming that Ruvidan agreed because their like colors and stuff are like up. So
Okay. Once you guys make your way down the staircase to the public areas of the library, and eventually, as you make your way across the huge floor, looking up at the beautiful ceiling above you, you make your way past the broad reception desk. And archivist Harnessa lifts her head and she says, "Well now, here's our little gemstone theorists." She like slides her glasses down her snout and she goes, "Did you help Vanamir get what he needed?"
I think so. You know how brilliant he is. It's kind of hard to add anything of worth to what he's found, but I think he's often happy to have the company and feel like we learned a lot.
Good. Done for the day then, are you?
Yes. Then she'll take off her visitor's bracelet and motion for Lortho to do the same.
He hands it to Meryl.
And she hands them over. Thank you for welcoming us so warmly into the archives. I've never seen a building that's this magnificent. It's just such a thrill.
I'm glad you find it so wonderful. I too as well. It only gets more beautiful the higher up you go.
What a beautiful sentiment. Have you been all the way to the top?
All the way, dearie. I'm an archivist. It's as high as it goes. From the top floor, you can see the ocean.
Wow. What a treasure.
You have no idea.
Well, thank you. I'm sure we'll see you again.
Have a good day, dearie. And she like waves.
You too.
That's another chapter down, adventurers, with Meryl and Lortho's investigation officially begun. What'd you think about all that information they found? And why was Ruvidan looking for it?